Hey guys, welcome to Soapboxing. I am your host, Kalebius, and this is your other host on the other screen there, Mr. Gigi Kowalski. We're going to go ahead and bring to you a couple of the news stories this week that matter to us and also the last cigars of my single life. So, enjoy.
Congratulations on Kalebius for signing his life away.
Hey, at least I get my video games. Hypothetically, I'm working that into the contract. I got a couple days to get that in. Got a couple days. All right, well, the first story that is up is a little bit of development in the Intel, or I should say Samsung versus Apple. Intel's tied into the Samsung deal, but that's not where we're going. It's actually the Apple v. Samsung mobile issue, and more with that, Mr. Gigi Kowalski.
Yes, and this story comes straight out of the courtroom. There was a pending lawsuit by Apple to Samsung about some of their phones and devices with copyright issues. And while they did get a ruling in the copyright issues, the judge refused to follow through with what Apple wanted, which was a total ban on the Samsung devices. So basically, they got stiffed for Christmas, which is kind of awesome. I'm sure there will be more on this development. Apple has been very nitpicky with a couple of companies. Um, they did sign a licensing agreement with HTC, 10 years, supposedly. We'll see how that goes. But there will still be more developments with Samsung as they attempt to route Samsung out of the market. So we'll see how that goes.
There's going to be a lot of back and forth on this story, just as there has been for the last 3 or 4 years at this point. So we'll kind of keep an eye on things, see if any major developments actually happen. Right now, we're kind of going tit for tat on this one. We get a little win here, we get a little win there, yeah, whatever. Yeah. I'm not really concerned at this point, as long as I get my Android phone and he gets his iPhone. So, whatevs.
I think that means we have to fight. We are now mortal enemies because we're on opposite sides of the fence. Isn't that how that works?
I'm not so sure about that. I'm pretty sure
right?
you only got an
Apple
iPhone because you got a deal.
We're supposed to fight or something like that.
Oh, are you a Mac guy now?
Yeah.
Good luck getting games, loser.
I'm playing on a Mac right now.
Good luck getting games, loser. Yeah, that's right. I'll just keep playing. You can start watching. There we go.
All right. Let's see how it is. And next story up. Revealed possible Rickroll Rudolph Red Nose for real?
Yes, this was an interesting Christmas development. And as you can see, I don't have glasses, so I can't actually go into the nitty-gritty details of the thing that's sitting right in front of my face. So back to the Rudolph story is Mr. Kowalski.
So I get a lead off and I have to finish the story?
Well, I'd prefer it if you let me have the lead off so I can read that much.
Oh, can you? Well, I thought my intro was great. Anyway.
It was, and that's why I'm kicking it back to you.
There's a story up from livescience.com about medical researchers who say they have the answer to the myth about Rudolph's red nose and that it may have actually been red. Turns out they have a very high concentration of capillaries in the nose region. They carry a lot of blood, and it's used like
most drunks.
A radiator to control their brain temperature, as well as
also like most drunks.
Other things. I don't know. I'm not sciencey. I just see researchers and that it's like medical, that their noses are like really hot and red under a temperature camera. What's that called again?
A thermal imager?
Thermal imager?
Yeah.
Infrared camera. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They glow red, which is funny. And it's really funny. The story is kind of funny, but there's so many references to Santa's sled in this story.
It just doesn't feel real, does it?
Pulling Santa around the sky in quotes from a researcher, Dr. John Cullen of the University of Rochester. I feel like I'm being rickrolled.
Maybe. Just a wee bit. However, there is not yet conclusive evidence to state that some idiot didn't throw too much money at a potential study.
I know, but like some of the sentences, they're quoted in the story
fake.
From the news article on MedPage Today.
I think we've been Rick trolled.
It's like they talk about why the blood vessels are this way and how they're used to do things and regulate the temperature of the reindeer's brain. Factors essential for flying reindeer pulling Santa's sleigh. I smell Rickroll. I'm just calling it now.
I clicked every link on that news site hoping for a Rick Astley video, and none. So Rick trolled.
I'm disappointed.
I vote Rick trolled.
Yeah.
But there's only
We'll see.
so
We'll
much we can
watch
do.
this story closely and see if any links to YouTube Rick Astley videos come out. So we'll keep you updated.
Updated and inundated with information.
Yes.
That's
So,
what we do. But I think we're about done with that. The next big bit of news, as far as I'm concerned, is this GM buying back a controlling portion of their shares from the federal government at an incredible loss to taxpayers like ourselves. So what are we looking at there? How bad is that going to hurt?
well, we don't know yet. The Treasury says they're planning to, in the near future, sell off all of these shares that they bought from GM to save the company, basically government motors now, because the federal government owns majority share.
Right.
There was a 5.5 billion stock sale originally. Totaling a $50 billion bailout for GM. They didn't spend 20.9 of it, and they will have to sell all of their shares, the federal government will, at an average price of $69.72 to break even. Not to make a profit, just to break even on that.
Shares are about half of that price right now, 27.
Something in the mid-20s. I didn't check the exchange or the stock prices at the moment.
It was either 27 or 29 as of a couple days ago, and that's a nice number for GM to buy back at.
But at that rate, we are going to lose billions. I don't think anybody on the news article actually did the math on it, but feel free to do so yourselves if you want. Take a look at it. But
people on the internet don't use calculators.
It's going to be a lot of money that we will lose on this deal, which most of us knew going into it. At the same time, it was kind of a dick move for the federal government to tell the general public that we could totally come out of this okay. When in fact we all knew that wasn't going to happen.
Well, I think it really depended on where you got your information or how intelligent you were in looking at the math and knowing how the stock exchange worked and how the stock market in general worked. Because I'm looking at it going, there is no way. And I don't know nothing from nothing, but I'm looking at it going, there is no way this can be a good deal. But it's the direction we're going. So we'll have to see how it turns up and ends up.
Well, GM is planning to buy back, it says 200 million shares, which I would presume is all of the federal government's shares. So you can do the math on 200 million times 30. Let's round it up and be generous. That's a lot of dollars short of the $70 mark that we need to hit. So we would lose half of what we need to break even. 3D printing, that's been around for a little bit while. Grammar not so good today.
It's 4:30 in the morning, folks. Give them a break.
Judgmental has been around pricks. For a while, but it has started developing, and there's been a couple of news stories coming out in the last couple of weeks about people 3D printing some really weird stuff. There was one really cool one of a young lady who decided to 3D print models of LPs, old vinyl records, onto this epoxy and then replay them. And while the audio quality is terrible, you can still actually hear the song, which is pretty freaking cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, but, that works for me on the cool factor.
On the newer note, apparently some people have been attempting to use 3D printing on what is basically epoxy to make firearm parts, in which they would assemble into full actual guns. Some people tested some of these 3D printed gun parts, and they didn't hold up so well. One of the receivers they were using to test failed after 6 shots. I believe it's some sort of AR submachine gun, semi-automatic, something like that.
I don't even think it was that high powered, and if I recall in the story, they were actually using low recoil rounds, and the recoil is what ended up making the part fail. If I remember right with this receiver part, what it was actually doing is it was the portion of the gun that would swap the bullet from the clip into the chamber. Basically, just this little part to blow the old shell out, take the new shell in. Doesn't already see a tremendous amount of recoil, but the way those guns work is that the recoil ejects the shell, feeds the new. And so it was probably actually a piss poor part to try this on. I'd have maybe started with a handle.
Well, it looks like the whole receiver is epoxy too, because it broke in half.
Yeah.
From the pressures, but it's interesting, and it looks like it probably has more promise in the metal 3D printing that's coming along in the future, where you can actually fab metal parts out of it. At the same time, it's more for prototyping new stuff than for actual manufacture, because molds will still always be faster, and more cost effective.
And this could in fact help to create molds faster. If you've got a part that you can more cheaply, more quickly, and more easily test your tolerances with, and this goes for any line of manufacturing that can use 3D printing as a template, this will allow you to make molds a lot faster without all the setup and tear down time and things like that, manufacturing of the dies themselves that go along with it. So there's a lot of promise in the entire field in general, but you know, where the gun thing goes,
not yet.
Nobody knows. We've got a real dick bag out there, folks. Real dick bag indeed, at least from a couple of points of view anyway. He decided to do some interesting things, and with the specifics of those interesting things comes Mr. Wet Willie Kowalski back there.
So anyway, there's a big news story that's been breaking from New York, one of the suburbs, where an ex-con apparently killed some firefighters. He actually set up a house fire in his own house and then took a sniper position downrange and actually waited for the first responders to show up and then started opening fire and killed 2 and injured a couple of more. So
yeah, I take it back. There's not really a couple of viewpoints that would call that a dick bag move. I'm going to just say that's a dick bag move.
Yeah, I'm going to go with dick on this.
Yeah, fair enough.
He apparently used primarily a .223 caliber semi-automatic Bushmaster rifle, which was the same make and caliber used in the Newtown, Connecticut shooting a few weeks ago, which is interesting. Coincidence? Maybe?
Yes, it's a cheap gun with very cheap ammunition. We're in a recession, damn it.
It's true. They also found he killed.
You can't all get Mac 10s, Kowalski.
He killed 2 firefighters, first responders, and they also found the body of his sister in the fire-burned house.
Wasn't this guy convicted of murder in 1980 or something of that nature? Wasn't that his actual conviction?
Yes, he served 17 years in prison for manslaughter in 1980.
Nice.
For the death of his grandmother.
Another dickbag move. Cool.
Yeah, so he has a history. But on top of that, what's really interesting is he was in possession of 3 weapons, not just the .223, and he was a registered felon who was not legally allowed to possess firearms at all, which is interesting in the wake of the Connecticut shooting and the talks about gun control. How did he get the guns?
Well, what I'm curious to know... What I'm curious to know is if this is a aftermarket purchase, which does happen quite a bit. And despite controls, you will always have somebody on Craigslist who's going to give you a hookup for quick cash. It's just going to be the case. So you've got your black market options there, or your Craig market options, I guess. I'm curious to see whether or not it was a purchase like that or a purchase that just kind of fell through the cracks and somebody missed this guy on 3 guns. I doubt that is the case, but that kind of leads me to believe that we don't need further tax dollars going into additional legislation to
It'd be nice
control
to
gun
just
laws.
it would be just nice to enforce the current laws, really. I mean, if we already have people committing crimes with guns that they're not supposed to have, could we like maybe take the tax dollars that we are going to allocate to all the new laws and actually enforce the ones we already have?
No, that's not the way we
No,
work.
no, okay.
Not that it's
Oh.
not the better idea, but
I'm just saying.
we've got kind of a track record of not doing the smart thing, but doing what the whiny people want.
And
Whiny
apparently he left a
people.
long, rambling note. They haven't released details on everything that was in it, but he specifically set out to ambush first responders, in his words. And it seems kind of random, and much like the Connecticut shooting, just sort of unprovoked madness, as some might call it. So it'll be really interesting to hear some more details on this guy and what the hell is going on.
So the interesting thing here that differentiates from a lot of these, at least what we're led to believe and know in the about these other public shootings, is that this was a clearly premeditated decision. None of these other guys have left any notes or intentions. They just turn the gun on themselves as soon as they can, or as soon as they think that they're at their end game. That's how you win. You quit. You win.
Yeah, so we will see
Interesting.
how it goes with this,
at any rate,
this story. And,
so more potential gun laws there, and I think we have one last story of people that are effing it up for the rest of us.
Yes, that would be a good way to put it. There's a story out
Is it
from
maybe the
AP.
fail of the week?
I would nominate this for the fail of the week, but I'm pretty sure I would be roasted alive on the internet. I'm going
Why?
to pass on this for today.
I
I'm just
will
gonna say,
nominate it as the fail of the week.
you heard it here.
It's
folks.
seconded, folks. This is a fail.
Kalebius nominates this story for fail of the
Hold
week.
on now. Before we go into this story, I want you to understand right away. This is a fail on a personal level, a fail on a federal level, and a fail on the level of the national conscience,
Or conscience.
because it's stupid. And with this story, Mr. Kowalski.
Fresh from the AP, 8 hours ago, this story broke.
What? A vase? Oh, wait. I bet it was a child's face.
Yeah. Ouch.
Oh, is that right? I feel bad about that
Another
now.
small child is run over by their parents. Backed over, technically, which apparently is an epidemic. According to people nowadays, a couple hundred people dying from something is an epidemic. So, it's a story here. A middle-aged lady goes to the bank with her child and a neighbor kid, and she goes into the bank and comes back out, and there's a little bit of a miscommunication on doors closing and who got into the car and who didn't. And she thought the child got in the car, and the child actually walked around the back of the car to get in the other side. And she proceeded to back over the child and kill her, actually. 10-year-old Cindy, I believe, was her name. And this has, again, sparked a nationwide debate / discussion on rear view facing backup cameras. Apparently, there was already legislation passed by George W. Bush regarding this. It's actually named after another child that was backed over a couple of years ago, whose name I can't remember, Cameron something. And that law was passed in dealing with the Department of Transportation and mandating cameras on all vehicles. And it has been kind of delayed and stonewalled by multiple people in the Department of Transit Administration for multiple reasons. And there's actually a really long article here from the AP
That it's
discussing
stupid.
it. A lot of people saying that's really stupid for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But basically, there's 228 people every year die from being accidentally run over, backed over. I don't think that counts like hit and runs and stuff, but actual like accidental backing over people.
Right.
110 of them are children under the age of 10, which is sad, but it happens.
Very sad. It's very sad, and
There's
you feel
always
bad for the
accidents.
kid. You feel bad for the parents. I do feel bad for the family. Don't get me wrong. I feel bad about this. What I what bothers me is that how friggin' where do you have to go that's so damned important? I am the oldest of 9 kids. Kids that weren't mine. I'd get in a car, I'd ferry them around. You don't do a head count. You don't reach in the back. Hey, count your numbers off, kids. Ah, 7's missing. No. You turn quick, you look, they're all there, you go. It's you got 2 kids to keep track of. Was there a rush on Big Macs or something? Was it like the holiday temperature sale where you get one for the price of the temp it is outside? I don't know.
I don't know what
But I
happened.
don't understand. And why would we do something that raises the price of new cars because some people are absolutely inept? And on another thought, little sideline note, they don't want me to use my cell phone in my car, my radio in my car, or really even talk to the other people that might be in the car because it's a distraction. But they'll give me a goddamned camera.
I know I play with that thing.
I'm taking that thing and putting it on a swivel. I'm going to check out all sorts of stuff. I'm going to hook up some hard drives in there. And then we're going to have a privacy law that goes on with that. Now, what are you watching on your camera? Oh, hey, you can't show this. This is what happened on the back of your car. It's got somebody else's license plate on it, maybe. That's an issue. That's why the Google Maps thing gets shut down. The Google Earth thing gets shut down when you zoom into street level. You're showing license plates. So what's going to happen with all that stuff? Are we going to start to have these images upload to servers so people know we've got the cars plugged in? Yeah, this is just, it's all very, 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 very stupid, and none of it's far-fetched. I wish it was, because this would be a really, really funny topic to talk about.
It would be if the slippery slope didn't exist.
Or wasn't, if we weren't already going down it. It's not that it exists, it's that we're sliding down it with stupid things like this.
It happens. It's the way government works. You give them an inch and they take a foot, and it's, some people call it a slippery slope. It's just the way government works.
Yes.
You start letting them regulate your personal choices for safety, and now all of a sudden you've got New York banning soda and fast food because it's not good for you.
Yes.
It will one day be a federal thing that McDonald's has been kicked out of the country because that causes heart disease, and that kills gazillions more people than backing over children.
But as long as they keep enough money pumping into the economy right now, we're supposed to keep them around because it's more awesome.
Right? Like, it's so sad. It's like, because it's going to start, and it already, backup cameras are already optional equipment on a lot of vehicles.
Yes.
But it's going to become mandatory. And it's optional equipment on higher end vehicles, not the poor people's vehicles, not the lower end, not the cheap cars.
Right.
Well, the cheap cars are getting more and more expensive every day. Another great example of this is the tire pressure monitoring system,
Yes.
TPMS,
Yes.
which never used to exist, and your and my tires were way cheaper and easier to do because of that. But now that the government has mandated by 2013 or 2012 that all new cars made in the U.S. have to have tire pressure monitoring systems, the price of your car just went up by a lot, $1,000 at least. The price of your work on your car, flat repair, if you get a nail in your tire, new tires, everything costs more because of this stupid electronic system. If people want to pay for the extra cool stuff so that you know your tire is flat, even though it's kind of obvious, fine.
Right.
Don't make it mandatory. Now I have to do it because you're a retard.
And don't know how to use a tire pressure gauge. Or in too big a hurry to go somewhere that's completely stupid. So, bottom line, I'm sorry that bad things happen. I feel really bad for the kid, but maybe the kid's got it better because now they don't have to grow up with a parent that didn't give a rat's ass enough about them to pay any attention to what's going on. People make mistakes. There are accidents. They're called accidents for a reason. They happen accidentally. This lady did not wake up. I'm sure she's absolutely devastated and heartbroken over the loss of her child. Did not wake up thinking, I'm going to run someone over today. Maybe it'll be my kid. Maybe it'll be the neighbor kid. I don't know. We'll see where the cards fall. I know that wasn't the case. I know her heart's in the right place. But for the love of God, a little common sense goes a long way.
It's true.
Just a little bit.
Little bit.
Just a little bit.
America, get some common sense.
On that note, we're going to retire for the evening. Have a great night. Stay tuned for more Soapboxing later on with kalebius and the Kowalski. Check us out in the links and comments section
Twitter,
down under there.
Twitter and the
So
Facebook and all that.